Welcome back from that quote-unquote short break, everybody. Thank you for staying tuned, and we are going to get straight into Game 2 of Team Boom taking on Spade and his incredible team. Nada, give us the draft session for Game 2.
You got it. After Boom took the first game here, we are ready once again, this time on Agion, and the first pick resides with Spade and his incredible team, and therefore the first ban, which will be Swiggins. So, most likely they did not like the Swiggins in Serona. They were scared, and he did a great job with that Kraken statue. So no more Swiggins for that, and the response for that Boom is going to ban Scoop. So once again, Scoop is banned. I think we're seeing a pattern here. Scoop is a very powerful character in competitive knots, and no one wants to fight him. So if you can't get him, you ban him. Alright, well, first pick for Spade and his incredible team will be Nibs. So we are most likely heading into the comp that we have been seeing before with constrainment and then the heavy DPS just going in there acting as burst. Respawns will be Coco and Froggy G. Very powerful, very versatile knots, both part of the meta. The pick for the response, for Spade and his incredible team will be Sentry and Ayla. So we're looking at this heavy DPS comp, which will, you can stack up the Nibs Fire and the Ayla Rage in that black hole and end up with a nice bang. Get some Sentry Teleburst in there. That's a lot of damage just in one initiate. And the last pick for Boom will be Vinny and Spike. So, with that being said, I'm just going to recap it quickly. We have a Coco, Froggy, and Vinny fighting an Ayla, Sentry, Nibs. Map is Agion. Oz, I'm going to ask you if you are ready, and you are going to say yes.
No, I'm not. Of course I'm ready. Let's go. Give us a countdown. Let's get it started.
Alright, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Now, we've seen this comp work for Ubi and Spade in the past, along with Dave W playing his Sentry. We saw his Sentry yesterday. That terrifying telefrag Sentry has worked wonders last time. What do you anticipate to see this time?
Well, with two dash characters and a knockback character, the black hole trap strategy will not be as effective as it would have been fighting, for instance, a Skoldir or a Clunk or another heavy knot. With these dashes, you can easily escape it, and that is the core mechanic in their comp. So that being the main weakness, we are going to see Ayla having to initiate with that Evil Eye, making sure the slow reduce the dash length enough so that they can stay in that black hole. But for Boom, they definitely want to be sure to target the Nibs and the Ayla rather than the Sentry, as he will be the main key of engagement, but he will also be the most tanky and the hardest to kill.
Now we look at the opposing team, Boom, utilizing the Vinny now. Kaio has picked up the Vinny. Dave W picked that Sentry. I'm interested to see how Kaio is going to play as Vinny.
Well, you can't have everything. You can't be both Vinny and Sentry. And, well, Silence Cloud is too good to pass up, especially versus a Nibs. So what I'm really wondering is to see how Ubi will play around it. That is my sort of my focus, I suppose.
Ubi's Nibs, we've seen it before, we've seen it in the past, we've seen it throughout this tournament. It's a very powerful thing, and to have a Nibs Sentry comp is extremely terrifying for Boom to play. And Dave W is actually going to get picked up by the ball. The first kill made it around the 1 minute and 50-second mark, as that will be a quick pickup as Dave W goes down to the ball.
That's a very well-placed ball. I think the ball could really do some work with the cooldown. I think that's where we're heading in this match, because you want to make sure you get that constant damage. Keep, especially in Nibs low, make sure that she doesn't want to do these, fire out of position attacks, because with a Frog and a Vinny, you don't really have a lot of time to teleport out. And if they can keep Nibs low, I think that they're in for a treat.
And they're trying to find Blah, and they do actually find him, but Blah is going to be on the counterattack, as well as Paolo, as he's going to be running away, and Blah is going to get picked up by Spade in the process. Paolo will be trying to escape, and he does. Kaio is going to defend alongside Paolo against the entirety of Spade and his team, as they are going to proceed to get the first push of this game.
Alright, and they are actually, pushing quite a bit on bottom. although they're not committing to it that much because it is a dangerous task to do, and you don't want to overcommit this early in the game. It's just not worth it. A kill means a lot more than push early game.
And this whole tournament, in the previous qualifiers, we've discussed how focusing one turret at the beginning of the game is your best option. But for Spade and his incredible team at this point, I think that a split push at any point in the game will be better in the long run, considering the Vinny.
Well, the Vinny and, you know, the Frog as sort of an amplification of what Vinny does at this point. Having your team go all together and focusing one turret sets you up for an easy double dash. And that was what we were talking about that last game, how Boom avoided a double dash situation, and now it's Spade's turn, so they cannot focus one turret because they will be in setup for a perfect double dash.
And actually, we see Kaio picking up Dave W, and Kaio is going to be on the run. He will get picked up by Ubi, but Ubi will go down in the process in a 2-for-1 exchange as Blah and Paulo are are going to be able to push against Spade, the lone Ayla defending against both of them for a few seconds until Ubi and Dave W can get back. Dave W is back, and he will pick up an upgrade off of his drop. He's going to pick up the dog tags, increasing the AA attack speed.
And the reason you want to get this upgrade is to get more photon mines out on the battlefield rather than actually attack faster. It all has to do with that zoning that Sentry is so capable of doing, and it's very, very powerful. You want to get those photon mines out there, and eventually you can stack up. You can do a bunch of things. You can stack up the mines in one place and then aim for a black hole that drags people into it. They do damage in that sneaky way that you don't really feel the damage being done to you, but it definitely is there and it definitely hurts.
And as you said, the AA strategy is to get more photon mines out there. You want to create that zoning style of gameplay that Sentry has. He wants to successfully and prevent lane changes, but if Team Boom does go through a minefield, per se, but actually a lot of damage being dealt to Dave W. Dave W will try and charge up. He will not be able to get his black hole off in time, as Paulo and Blah are going to defend with Kyle for a few seconds until they're able to clear up the lanes and get a push against Spade and Ubi.
Oh, they have to be careful. Boz is way up in their zone right now.
Blah and Paulo will proceed to clear up bottom as Kyle is in the top. And they do have a push. They will be able to get some decent damage on the top lane as Paulo is a Coco, and we all know how much turret damage Cocos do.
Depending on what you get on her, but you have just this insane potential for turret damage, and with this comp that doesn't actually require you to use your AA that much because they want you up in their face, Coco could theoretically go for that full turret damage. Just tear the turrets apart after an easy kill. But people can argue that this upgrade is overkill because you usually wouldn't need it, but sometimes it actually pays off to have that insane turret DPS.
And I agree with you 100%. In certain situations, getting turret DPS is quite important as opposed to attack damage all around, but you know, you are going to forfeit that damage on players, but gain damage on structures. So it's great for turret tearing, but you really do kind of lack in the team fight department.
You do, and it's mostly if your team doesn't really have any push, you should get this upgrade. It's only to make up for lack of push. You should never do it to get more push, I think. You can, but in the end, it probably is overkill to just get it.
As we see the engagement start, Spade is going to be running away from Paulo. Paulo taking a lot of damage at the same time as Spade is. They're both about the same amount of health. Kaio and Welcome back. Sorry, we do apologize for the small interruption, a small technical issue, but it was fixed and we are ready to go. We are synced up. Nada, give us a countdown. Let's get straight back into it.
Yes, sir. Resuming match in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
And Ubi will avoid the dash from Kaio by teleporting out as Dave W is going to proceed into the creep zone. Blah picking up Invis for his team, and Paulo will teleport back, pick up some upgrades.
The upgrades, yes, indeed. Actually, looking at it, This is perhaps the best example of how meta gameplay is done. If you're lacking behind a bit, you get piggy bank. Otherwise, you get loads of damage on all aspects of your nod. You know, for Sentry, you're increasing your damage by stacking up those mines. You're getting that zoning. Nips, you're getting that range and the DOT. Ayla rocking that angry drawings. More damage. This is, although we don't do this with the Roboscoop for damage, everyone gets a damage. Everyone.
And damage across the board. The utility upgrade for Ayla, piggying into the movement speed, that being boots. Very tactical piggy bank. Very late in though.
It's you know, we're almost at 10 minutes, and it is a bit late to piggy, I will admit that, but sometimes you just gotta get that extra solar.
And in Ayla's case, boots is basically a necessity.
It is. It really is. You are going to have such a hard time fighting off anything without boots as Ayla.
Dave W will clear up the bottom lane as Ubi's going to teleport back up. Spade clearing top with Ubi, but Kyle will just drop the clouds, stop the push right in its tracks, get his farm going. Ubi trying to deal some damage through the no-clip fire as Paulo and Blah will proceed to clear the bottom lane. Spade going to counter that, clear up those droids very quickly as Kaio trying to jump in there with a dive, not being able to hit anything. Ubi getting right into it. He's going to be dealing a lot of damage across the board. Paulo getting caught. Spade is going to pick up Blah in the process. Excuse me. We see Spade getting picked up as Paulo will pick him up with a ball. Dave W with his cloud, Kaio with his cloud. Dave W stealing invis, and he is going to utilize his AA to clear up the bottom push.
You know, bottom lane is sometimes neglected here on Aeon, and what can happen is you can have a team go for the full push on bottom lane, or on top, sorry, and then just completely neglect bottom, leaving it to push itself by the droids. And sometimes you get a very, very interesting setup on the minimap where the two turrets are pushed because you've neglected the one and pushed the other, and it actually almost equals out. The droids, if they get a free run for it, they'll do about as much damage as you do if you just, you know, poke in every now and then as Boom are doing right now.
Speaking of that poking, those turrets are about half for everybody. It's a very even game. We have hit the midpoint, and both teams, their turrets are pretty even, and Dave W is going to be collapsed on. He will launch his black hole in effort to secure safety for himself. Spade is going to hunt down Kaio. Kaio is going to get picked up by the turret, but Spade is going to go down as well. A 1-for-1 as Spade and Kaio are both removed from the map for a few seconds. Blah Paulo versus Ubi and Dave W.
Alright, and that's an early range pickup there on our Vinny. So obviously he's looking to get things done.
He's looking to deal a lot of damage across the board and basically have no repercussions for him dashing in and dealing damage to all members of Spade and his incredible team. That's the kind of build that he's going for. I'm really interested to see how it's going to work out.
I think we will be seeing a lot of cool dashes towards the bottom hiding area where you can, with that range upgrade, hit everywhere if you dash down through the floor.
And with the antique machine gun, he is going to be able to hit a lot of spike dives that you normally wouldn't be able to hit with just the regular range on spike dive.
Well, people joke about Vinny being Raylan with that upgrade. You know, who needs a sniper when you have the antique machine gun?
Kaio trying to get into the mix. He's going to become uninvis, and Dave W will try and lock him down with the black hole, but he is a Vinny. He will fly right out of that. Ubi and Spade getting around the backside of their team, but Paulo is going to pick up Spade, and Ubi is going to run away as Dave W will secure safety for him, utilizing the zoning AA and black hole.
Alright, and we're looking at a pretty early shield pickup for Blah. Usually frogs get the max dash before even thinking of upgrading NATO.
Paulo going to clear the bottom lanes. Dave W setting up the zoning defense, trying to tie down Kaio in a small area and confine him to the turret section. awaiting his team to come and help him out. Invis will get taken and picked up by Blah. Dave W notices Invis is taken. He's got his teleward up in the top lane, so he will be able to see any members of Team Boom who decide to try and hide and use their sneaky duck strats up in the top jungle area. And Blah had just used his dash on Spade. Spade is very low on HP. He's going to be forced to defend. Ubi will clear up the top lane. Dave W is now back on map as Ubi will use his fire in a defensive manner. The black hole dropped by Dave W as Paolo and Kaio are going to be in the top lane, dropping the Silence Cloud, clearing that up, and it seems like a small top push for Kaio. That top turret is less than a bar and a half. Team Boom can take that down in one push. Paolo seems to be in a little bit of trouble as a lot of damage is going to be dealt to him from Ubi.
And Ubi is going he's going places with his Nibs build, already stacking up max DOT and going for that damage as well. The base, just the ticking of each fire tick. He's going for that, and he's ready to set up a proper barbecue. It is a menace.
If we could take a quick look at the upgrades and see where people are building, I believe Vinny just picked up his Silence Cloud.
Alright, the infamous red bandana. You know, with the Nibs, there's not a lot you can argue, you know, against getting a Silence Cloud. Silence Cloud is the most powerful upgrade that Vinny has available in his kit. Well, I'd actually argue everything. It is probably the best upgrade that he has, and against the Nibs, it is just so much, you know, it's so much better because you have a stationary target that cannot leave the cloud when the fire is up.
And as you said before, that stationary target that will not be able to leave the cloud. The only abilities that can be used are abilities used before they enter the cloud. So if Kaio starts the engagement and drops the Silence Cloud, I don't think that Spade and his team are going to be able to combat it.
No, it really comes down to if they can make sure to prime their things. Shoot a black hole in there is basically what they can do. An Evil Eye maybe is a little stretch actually because the range of the Evil Eye isn't that great, but the black hole can definitely do things in the Silence Cloud. Other than that, it's pretty much a hard counter to everything else.
And Ubi, being very smart with his teleport, will mitigate any damage dealt from Blah. Blah is on the run as Spade is trying to hunt him down. Spade may be in a bad situation if Kaio decided to drop in with his dash, but we see Ubi using the fire very defensively, securing safety for Dave W and Spade. And a very nice play by Ubi, being able to notice his team was in trouble, waiting at the top of the bouncer, threw his teleport away, used his fire, and was able to deal damage as well as teleport away unscathed.
Right, we actually do have quite a heavy teleport team, 2 teleporters. I think that's the whole package. You don't get more teleporting than that.
I believe this game is going to be a little bit differently because of the comp of Team Boom. Dave W really can't afford to spend solar on the teleport. There are a lot more upgrades that can be utilized quite better if he decides to. Well, he does have Drive Over Skulls, and it is going to be dealing a lot of residual damage if Team Boom gets too close to his AA.
I'd like to see him get some more pills. Just build that bulk up. Just get the tanky feel for it. Survive that burst and just lock himself down in a black hole.
And he tried to lock down Blah in that black hole, but he's going to be collapsed on by the entirety of Team Boom. And it seems that Ubi will pick up Blah and Paolo, and Kaio is going to be on the run. Kaio is going to get taken out as Spade and his team have effectively wiped out Team Boom. They're going to try and get the second turret, and they absolutely will. First turret down, second turret down, and they have opened up the gates to the second part of their Augion match, where they are going to attempt to take out those last 2 turrets, open up, and pave a way to the core.
Alright, they are not going to go full ham because they know what's waiting for them. Just look at how quickly they're back. And they're ready to clear up any resistance that may or may not have been there. This was an amazing wipe, and what needs to happen now is just the bulk. And the bulk needs to happen because now Boom will be on the defensive side, and that leaves Spade and his incredible team in a bit of a pickle, really, because they want to get them out in the field where they can get the damage away from choke points and make sure that Sentry only takes so much damage but still has enough to be in the fight afterwards. And that's really hard to do in these choke points here. So they're going to have to play really smart to really get the footing right. That's where I'm going with this.
And they can't afford to get their footing wrong, because if Team Boom gets a black hole landed, that is almost a secured kill. They'll be able to drop in with the fire, drop in as Spade with the Evil Eye, and Dave W will continue to punish Team Boom for getting caught in the black hole.
Well, not to say that Team Boom doesn't have a chance to get out of it. Again, the Silence Cloud is on their side, and they are just looking for that one dash cloud, and they are ready to go.
Dave W clearing up the AA in the top lane as we see Ubi, Spade, and Dave W try and get into the bottom lane. Kaio taking a lot of damage from Spade. Kaio will be able to clear up the bottom as Team Boom is forced to defend against the reckoning force that is Spade and his incredible team.
And if you saw what Paulo just did there, shoot a ball, notice that the shield is up on Sentry, let it fly by, let the DOT just do its tiny amount of damage, not charging up his shield unnecessarily, because, you know, you can basically use the shield damage counter as an aggression meter, as per how aggressive the Sentry will be playing.
And Dave W launching out that black hole, trying to save himself. Paulo is going to get hit with the fire on Nibs. Kyle looking to secure a kill on Ubi, will drop his Silence Cloud trying to find Ubi. Ubi with Invis, and Team Boom really needs to kind of regroup in a sense and focus out one character. I've noticed Team Boom, they've been trying to single out Dave W Sentry. We see Kyle start the engagement with the black hole, and Paulo and Blob try and attack him after that. And they've gotten quite a few kills that way, but we've seen them get wiped, and that wipe really did change the tides.
It did. And while you are not confusing me with sentries that use Silence Cloud and Vinnies that use black holes, I think that you are absolutely right that that wipe really meant a lot. And, you know, having Dave W on that black hole really is providing for those setups. But the thing is, if they can keep it up in those choke points, that is what I'm wondering.
As Kaio starts the engagement, Spade going into a 3v1. They're going to have to fight it out and duke it out in the Silence Cloud dropped by Kaio. Kaio is going to be able to steal Invis. Dave W not in the best of positions, and we see the dash, the double dash being huge damage to Ubi. Dave W will pick up Paulo in the process.
And Paulo is actually doing that same build with the slow, the time travel turbine, the extra time that Blaze stays on the floor, as well as the Blaze Ball. So just get that huge Blaze in, stays around forever, and with the range upgrade on Ball, it'll fly for longer and be able to knock you into more Blaze from the actual Heavenly Fire upgrade itself.
Kaio and Blah clearing up the bottom as Dave W and Ubi set themselves up for a potential kill situation. Dave W playing his zoning sentry, well, quote-unquote, the only sentry that we've kind of seen, the zoning play style. But he's been very smart in his plays and his charges on his black hole today. We haven't seen his telep frags come out, but we know that he's capable of doing them, and I really want to see them come out later in this game.
Well, he is fighting a Coco, a DOT-heavy character, and with a DOT-heavy character, you are less likely to land those telefrags, solely because the ticks are too often for him to actually get his teleport off.
The black hole launched behind the wall, and that is going to be the final turret taken out. Team Boom has one turret left, and Dave W is getting assaulted. He may be going down, and Dave W does goes down to Kaio, but we see Spade hunting down Paulo in the process, and he will pick him up. And Spade is going to be taken out by Kaio as Kaio dashes in and picks him up. Blah is on the run from Ubi, and Kaio trying to defend him, securing safety for his team.
Alright, and it looks like Dave W has been bulking up. Look at those pills. A lot of extra HP coming in, as well as that high damage on AA.
And Kaio will pick up Ubi.
Yeah, not as if Boom does not have high damage. Look at that damage. They are outdoing Oprah in terms of damage.
Kaio and Blah looking to pick up those turrets. Blah dealing a lot of damage to that bottom turret. He's going to tank out quite a bit of damage. Dave W going to get dashed away. Paolo blazing down. He's going to clear the bottom lane as Blah holds invis, awaiting his victim.
I think he's more or less waiting for his teammates rather than his victim. You know, not going in when you have an opportunity, but rather going in when your whole team has an opportunity. That's a kind of a split that you see between pubs and competitive play.
As Paolo will be teleporting back. All members of Team Boom actually teleporting back. And there we see Ringtones of Death adding the silence on the teleport. It started.
Oh yes, this is the longest single upgrade silence that you can get, apart from the Cloud, which is a 2 upgrade system, and the Snare Trap, which is also a 2 upgrade, actually 3 upgrades for that silence. So in a single upgrade, this has the longest snare duration, 2.5 seconds. In notch terms, that's about a year and a half.
A year and a half of silence against this type of comp is not going to be well, as you will be taken out very quickly, and the silence itself is basically a huge counter to Vinny. He's not going to be able to dash away. Neither is the Frog. Coco can activate the Blaze and still kind of get away, but if the silence hits, it's going to be very difficult for all members of Team Boom to get away and escape.
It really comes down to where everyone is when the silence is being deployed, and if they can cancel that teleburst or the engage with the teleport, because you have to hit sentry. Otherwise, every 2 seconds, there's a check if he is ready to do it. If you damage him, you reset that cooldown of 2 seconds. So keep getting that poke on sentry if you want to avoid getting those telefrags or telesilences off in your face. So make sure you focus sentry when those things happen. And that's exactly what Boom should be doing right now.
Blah trying to set something up, and Invis is up. Spade is going to steal it from all members of Team Boom as they have set themselves up for it, but Spade in the right place at the right time will be able to make his way out with Invis. And the Blaze being dealt. We see Dave W charging up, not able to get anything of it, as all members of Team Boom decided not to attack him.
Sometimes it's more dangerous to attack than to just, you know, the threat of attack. And attacking, sometimes you have to make sure, at this level of play, you have to make sure the enemy doesn't want you to attack. Baits are so, well, sneaky, ducky, whatever you want to call them. They are so well thought out that you should not take a free kill for granted.
And yesterday we brushed up upon how important it is to bait the abilities of your opponents. And Blah is actually going to take a lot of damage as he will be able to escape. Spade, Kaio is way out of position. Boom realizes that they're going to need to get to Kaio very quickly. Spade is going to teleport back. Ubi will get silenced. He'll be able to teleport away using his Orb of Omicron. But as we said before, it's very important to bait out the abilities of your opponents. And if you can time those abilities as well, you guys are golden.
Absolutely. You know, think of it, why is a frog good? Because frog can dash out of anything. Well, when frog has no dash, then what good is a frog?
He's basically useless, but Spade is going to be out of position. He will be picking up Paolo? What? But Kaio will pick up Ubi in the process. That was a very interesting engagement. Spade is trying to make his escape as Kaio with his preemptive dive into the creep zone, dropping the silence cloud. Unfortunately for him, Spade was in the bottom creeps. Or jungle, I should say.
I think Boom is waiting for a wipe right now. Their play is not aggressive, it's more of... They all have a sort of a baity vibe to them. They're all, you know, come on, attack us, you know, you want to win this game, don't you? Just come in, go ahead, you've got this, guys. And then they're waiting for that wipe and just take the victory, because we've seen them do that before.
And both teams. We've seen both teams be able to do that. In the qualifiers, we've seen Spade and his team get great comeback victories, wiping other teams. And the same thing goes for Team Boom. In Qualifier 2, they were able to get a team wipe on Team Boss when all their turrets were taken out and effectively win the game.
And that just goes to show that even though the minimap may show progression, you don't necessarily always have that. And just because you're in the lead of turrets now doesn't mean you will be winning, because after all, turrets don't really mean anything. It's just a way to get into that core. So you could theoretically just, you know, ditch bottom lane and go for top. Even though you have 2 turrets up, that still leaves you with a victory because you get the core. The core is important.
Spade is getting dived on, a lot of damage being dealt to him. He's going to get taken out by Paulo as the DOT will pick up the kill. And the Circuits of Time, the decoy on teleport. Dave W is building for that telefrag sentry now.
Oh yes. This is probably one of my favorite upgrades for sentry. You go in, you leave that clone behind where you teleport from, not where you teleport to. Keep that in mind when you're trying this at home.
Ubi will be clearing the bottom lane. Dave W launching his black hole, not able to catch anyone in it. Kaio going back to pick up some upgrades with 350 solar. Dave W continuing to clear the top lane. Spade and Ubi will clear alongside with him. Paulo teleporting back. Invis will go to Kaio.
Having a Vinny Invis seems to be, you know, that should basically either you're going for the Silence Cloud Initiate or you shouldn't be doing it. I think Frog would have much more utility of it, and unless you get that really nice Silence Cloud off, I don't think that Vinny will be able to do much with this Invis. They are all well aware that the Invis is up and taken by a member of Boom.
And they did have to play very defensively, as Invis is the difference between a kill and a death. So both teams, you'll see them play very cautiously when they notice the other team has Invis. One thing I do want to point out are the builds actually on Coco, who has now opted for her last stage of Chuck's board alongside Time Traveler Turbine, which is going to increase the time that Blaze stays on the floor.
It is, and this is the exact same build that we were seeing last game, but now taken to its full extent as we are approaching the latest stages of games. This is truly a game that has gone on for a while. These people are really taking the struggle for it. This is the spot in the grand finals, mind you.
This is the spot, so both of these teams are playing with extreme intensity. It may not seem like it at times, but these teams are in constant communication with each other. Dave W taking a huge dive, not being able to get the black hole off for a charge in time. Blah's going to steal the creep from him, and Dave W should be going back. He has around 180 solar. As he does, he'll be able to pick up an upgrade with that. Blah taking a huge evil eye from Ayla, brought down to about half health. Paulo and Kaio defending the top lane. Dave W not getting a charge off of Paulo's ball. Paulo knows he's charging. He's not going to detonate. As Spade takes another ball, he will be brought down to about half health. Blah will clear up the lanes on bottom. Dave W looking to set something up for his team. Gets the teleport silence on Paulo. His team not there to make anything of it.
Right, and you can just see how important it is to place yourself in an aggressive state when you are low on turrets. Because while you're doing that, you can see, well, effectively, Spade and his incredible team, they're in the corner right now. They cannot get out. And that is leaving, you know, even though their base is exposed on Boom's side, they still are not getting anywhere near it.
And a huge black hole is going to bring Paulo down to about a quarter health. But Dave W and Ubi need to be very careful not to get silenced in Kaio's cloud. Clearing up the bottom lane will be Blah as Ubi and Dave W switch it up. The entirety of Boom preparing themselves for this invis. It should be up shortly.
This invis could mean a lot. If they get it right, they could get a double or a wipe, and that would be the game.
Well, just looking at the kill count right now, we see 14 to 10. The solar difference is around 500 between all characters. some higher than others, of course, and the maximum solar difference is around 500.
Right. Otherwise, it seems pretty close to me.
Yeah, spread across all players, that is. And Blah will pick up Invis as Ubi and Spade will retreat back to the creep section to grab some health. Blah looking to set something up as Kaio and Paolo are trying to deal some residual damage to Dave W in the top lane. We go back to Kaio trying to drop the Silence Cloud. He will dash in. He drops the Silence Cloud. Ubi is going to get hit by it. He's going to be taking a lot of damage. Blah is going to be on the run as he is going to get hit by the Telefrag on Dave W, but Kaio will pick up Ubi in the process. He's not in a good spot. He's going to get picked up, and a 2-for-1 exchange as Spade picks up Kaio, Paolo picks up Spade, and Dave W is going to have to be running away from Paolo and Blah. That is a sentry for two very quick characters. The teleport silence actually is not going to hit it, but Paolo will be able to escape on the bottom lane.
Wow, that was close. He does have that Yellow King Page's upgrade, which is going to increase the damage of the beacon. It didn't hit, although the Circuits of Time was enough to actually throw them off and actually keep Spade alive for another day.
And I'm really happy with this Ayla build. It's very centered around that chase. The Biter Mask has just been picked up, increasing the effective slow amount to 30% extra.
And you have to take into account that the Tricycle is now there as well. So you are looking at, well, basically 60%, well, not 60%, sorry, 1.6 extra movement speed, which is theoretically going to do the same as more slow. So you are just looking at the insane amount of theoretical slow here. The CC that Ayla can produce is insane. The chase she has is insane. Her area of effect is insane. Ayla is insane right now. Insane.
Insane in the membrane, as the Beastie Boys had once said. Paolo going to clear up the top lane. Invis will go to Kaio, but that teleport beacon is in a very good spot to pick up a kill or start an engagement. Ubi dealing residual damage to all three members of Team Boom. That teleport ward, I really want to see Dave W use it, as he can start that engagement and effectively end it very quickly. He does use it, dealing some damage to Kaio, as Kaio will go back to clearing the top lane. The bottom turret, has been poked out a little bit by the droids.
And Ayla slowly getting EA upgrades now, building into the last upgrades. This is where builds start to become filler rather than, right, we have the full build down. Usually your build consists of 1 or 2 AA upgrades and then some upgrades on your main abilities, and therefore from there you just pick up whatever you think you need. There's no builds this late in the game. Everyone is considering to win the game in around 20 minutes or less. We've been going for 35 minutes. This is, we're looking at people now trying to adapt as soon as they can.
And adapting at this late stage in the game is going to be very difficult, as all builds have been in place. As you stated, Kaio will pick up Spade on the engagement, and Team Boom is looking to deal some turret damage, clearing these lanes very quickly. Dave W still has his teleport in the bottom. And the ball launched past the Heavenly Fire, and Dave W taking a lot of damage. He's about 2 bars. Team Boom looking to pick up a kill on Dave W, and they are going to get it as Blah retreats back, and he will pick up the kill. Dave W noticing that his teleport is in front of the turret, and they do manage to pick up the kill. Ubi just gets absolutely just eliminated from the map. He just disappeared, as we see Kaio and Paolo duking it out with Spade, but Spade gets picked up in the process, and that is another wipe. Team Boom going to do damage to the core, as they will deal that damage. Those bars being shaven off by Kaio and Blah and those droids. Dave W coming in down. I don't know if that's enough time to deal any damage, and that will not be.
Our first finalist has been found.
And a new challenger has been acquired in the lower brackets, as Team Boom makes it to the finals after 12 weeks.
The grand finals, mind you.
The grand finals to compete for first and second place. And unfortunately for Spade and his incredible team, they will be in the lower bracket. But Nana, what could have went differently in that game?
This all came down to engagements. Builds were great, everything made sense. It all came down to who engaged when, and I think Boom had the upper hand. Other than that, both teams played excellently. It was a great match. A bit long, but a great match nonetheless.
As you said, a great match for both teams. Congratulations to Team Boom getting into the finals, and we will see Spade and his incredible team take on Ion in the lower bracket right after a quick break. But before we do so, it's that time, everybody. Keep an eye out in the Twitch chat as a mod will be giving instructions on how to win yourself a Robo Scoop. That is right. The Twitch giveaway begins shortly, and we will be right back.